All right, welcome back to the Carousel, the number one show for all the latest news, scoop, and rumors in the basketball coaching carousel. I'm your host, Adam Gordon, along with Brian Burton. What's up, Brian?
Not much. Good to be back. I missed last week, but you held it down well by yourself.
Man, it was a struggle, but we survived it. Talking to yourself and your computer for an hour is not an easy task. I got a lot of newfound respect for radio hosts, but we're glad to have you back.
You made it look easy, though. You made it look easy.
Well, I don't know about that, but I survived. Before we get into today's show, today's episode is brought to you by Fulcrum Tech. Guys, this is a no-brainer. I've used every video editing software ever created in my 17 years of coaching, and Fulcrum Tech is the best that I've used. Not only that, it's a fraction of the cost. So especially in these days, I would say regardless of what it costs, you need to give it a look to improve your program, but especially in the COVID era where budgets are being slashed and you really need to save money anywhere you can. Fulcrum Tech is a no-brainer. Check them out, hit them up on social, go to their website, fulcrumtech.com, reach out to them, ask for a demo, and they can get you set up right away. Fulcrum Tech, no H at the end. That's the techie way to spell it, apparently, .com. All right, Brian, just a reminder, we're not here to celebrate anybody losing their jobs. Yep. This is a show where we like to talk about the openings and any rumors or news that we hear out there. We want it to be interactive, so please text us, DM us, whatever you want. Get in touch with us. Let us know what you've heard about some of these jobs. You can text us anonymously at 662-418-9031. Man, we got a lot to talk about. Let's get into it. In about 20 minutes or so, we'll be joined by the Dirt King himself, Adam Nelson of Hoop Dirt. Will be back on the show with us. So that'll be great. And we always look forward to hearing from him. But some new hires this week. One that kind of surprised everybody. Minnesota pulling the trigger on Ben Johnson, which I know in our camp we were very excited about. What do you think about this hire, Brian?
Well, selfishly from the DI Alliance standpoint, he was a part of our next up, and he proved to be true. He was next up. He did a phenomenal job in our session with Katie Young as far as the simulation and showing his ability to interview. So we knew when he had a chance to interview, he was going to. But you couldn't have thought that he was going to go from being an Xavier assistant to Minnesota. But I think it's a phenomenal hire. He's a rising star. I think he's going to hire a big-time staff. My understanding is he may even hire Tim Miles, who he worked for at Nebraska, who was a Big Ten head coach. He's done a tremendous job. He was an assistant getting players there. He played there. So I think it's a big-time hire. I think he's going to have a similar – I don't know, just one of those young guys in the higher-level league like a Mike Boynton who's just had success and the players want to play for and is able to connect. So I'm fired up. He played college ball with my brother too, so I'm biased on that. And, I'm excited for him. He's going to be tremendous.
Yeah, and, again, this is how this thing works, right? You go on all these websites, you see all the names. Everyone puts out lists of who they think is going to get involved with the job. Brad Stevens, John Beilein, Brad Brownell was mentioned for this one. And then out of left field, it's Ben Johnson. And, like you said, in our Next Up initiative that we did through our DEI Alliance, we did mock interviews with Katie Young-Stout, who is, works with Turnkey Search and was one of the most, impactful search firm execs in college basketball. Yep. He blew the doors off the thing. Like, he was unbelievably impressive. And so when you saw some of those tweets that, like, it sounds like he did something similar there at Minnesota.
Well, yeah, it sounds like that's what got him over the top. Is like he interviewed and they're like, this guy, who is this?
He's impressive. So congrats to Ben. Looking forward to the Ben Johnson era there. Another surprise.
I'll say this real quick on that too. I think it was big time of Minnesota to be conscious enough to know that they don't have any minorities on staff in their entire athletic department, I don't think. And then they also, with everything that happened with George Floyd, I think it's big time of them to step up and show that they want to be on the right side of the lines on that thing. So that was big time as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And like the trend so far, 10 out of 15 hires this offseason have been minority coaches, which
Right.
is incredible. And that's the ratio of minority athletes in basketball. So that is the ratio that probably these hires should look like. And it is refreshing, and it's nice to see that the hiring trends are starting to swing in that favor.
Yep.
Okay, another hire that came out of left field that nobody predicted, nobody had, is Kevin Krueger at UNLV. Kevin, obviously the son of Lon Krueger, who is one of the best to ever do it. Kevin was on staff there, and younger guy. I think he's 36, but played. Had a successful playing career. I think spent a couple of years, maybe 1 or 2 years in Northern Arizona, which I like that he's been at some lower levels and had to roll up his sleeves a little bit. Worked for his dad at Oklahoma. And then obviously the last several years at UNLV. Obviously he made an impact within that administration.
Yeah, I think credit to Kevin. Credit to Kevin for sure, but I think even more so just Lon Krueger, if he wasn't the guy that he is in this business, as far as like people being so well liked and being a great coach, I mean, ultimately, I think there was a comfort level with the family name and with Coach Krueger. At the end of the day, I'm not taking anything away from Kevin, but Coach Krueger, if he wasn't the stand-up guy and great coach that he is, I don't think this goes down like it does. That's just my opinion. So shout out to Lon, big Lon.
No doubt. And like all these hires, we wish these guys the best and hope they all have success, because this industry is hard. We're not here to judge these hires or anything like that. But
no doubt.
But yeah, certainly caught everybody by surprise. Another one that came out this week that I think was not as much of a surprise. It kind of was becoming known that George Mason was going to head this way leading up to it, is Kim English. Kim is a guy that obviously, first of all, he was on staff most recently at Tennessee. Very good player from Missouri. And he's a guy that's been, on the cusp of getting a head job these last 3 years. You hear his name with every opening that there is. And George Mason, certainly a great job and a great first opportunity.
Yeah, excited for Kim English. He's just such a first-class guy. I mean, really sharp, played at a high level, found his way into the NBA. And I think he's just done a good job in his short coaching career, climbing really fast, and had success at Colorado. They just had a really good year again. And then he went to Tennessee with Barnes and was at Tulsa as well. And I don't know, and one person can say a bad thing about Kim. So had ties to the area. I think he's going to do great. And another one of those young guys who's got a ton of energy, has a lot of success in recruiting, but really good basketball coach and basketball mind too. So excited for Kim English. I think he'll do great.
Yeah, like you said, just a first-class person, great person, great to talk to. The only thing I'll say is, like, he's only been at the highest levels. He's only been at BCS schools. He's only flown charter. Well, I guess Colorado, Pac-12 doesn't fly charter, but and George Mason's a great job, and they have some of those amenities. It's just a small step below a BCS program, but that would be the only thing. Is like it always it doesn't make me nervous, but I always wonder, like, can guys that have only been at the BCS level, does that translate down? It's just different. It just is. Like, you don't have
Tulsa's not quite as many bells and whistles, but it's still a super high level in the AAC. But I just think who he is and like how he goes about the recruits he does recruit. He doesn't recruit like he's a guy that's not rolling up his sleeves. He doesn't do really much of anything. Like he's kind of just one of those guys. So, and I think that was his role in the league. He kind of had to play that, dirty work role player. So I think he kind of gets that part. And I just think he's such a professional. It's almost like I liken him a lot to like Stan Johnson at LMU, who's been at a lot of high levels. Now he came up through D2, but I think Kim just has that polish and that young energy, and just he's going to figure out a way to be successful, just a winner.
Yeah, we wish him the best. But the Stan Johnson's at least 10 years older than Kim, so it's a little different.
A little different.
But yeah, we wish him the best. Great person, great basketball mind, like you said, and obviously with ties to the area, you think they have some success. So best of luck to them. Portland finally made their hire. I was kind of on their ass a little bit, their AD's ass about all the articles, but they got this one right, I think.
Yeah, I
Great
think so
hire
too.
with Shante Legans.
Yep.
Obviously, they had to wait till his season was done at Eastern Washington, and he led them to the tournament. But Shante Legans, great hire and a proven head coach at a very difficult job at Eastern Washington. And
Yep.
obviously, they had a foundation of success with Jim Hayford before. But I don't care who you're taking over and what continuity you have. Eastern Washington's Eastern Washington.
Tough
And to
job.
get them in the tournament and to take Kansas down to the last 5 minutes, that's impressive.
Yep. Yeah, I think they did a good job hiring a proven head coach, knows the area, did more with less. Yeah, I think this is a home run grand slam type of hire, and excited for them to kind of get going and see what they're able to do.
Absolutely. Okay, moving down to Florida. Everyone loved talking about this Jacksonville job. I don't know why, but everybody loved throwing out their ideas and rumors for this one. You heard all kinds of names. But at the end of the day, Jordan Mincy was their man, University of Florida assistant. Another guy who just great reputation, great dude.
Yep.
I don't think you find anyone say anything negative about Jordan. And obviously he's done a great job in the state there.
Yeah, I think it's been kind of cool to see, and I don't know if it's because of COVID or what, but there's been a lot of regional type hires where guys are hiring people that are already in that region and had success in that region, had a name. Dusty May went from Florida to Florida Atlantic and has had some great success there in a tough program that's a tough program to have success in. And I think Jordan Mincy will have a similar run at Jacksonville. So I'm really excited. Great guy. Good to see, more assistants getting their shot to lead programs. So I think he'll do well.
Yeah, and if you look at his career, he's been at so many places, and I really think there's value to that, getting to see, how different people do things.
Yep.
But Kent State, South Carolina, College of Charleston, Toledo, Louisiana Tech, Florida. So, he's been at the highest levels. He's been at low major programs. Again, I think he's he's proven his versatility over the years, and excited to see with the Dolphins, right? Aren't they the Dolphins?
I think so. The Fighting Dolphins, or what? If you can fight, if you're a Dolphin, yeah.
Yeah, excited to see what the Dolphins do. Okay, last but not least, we got to give out.
And that one, real quick, was not a part of the 10 out of 15 minority hires. So that actually would be 11 out of 16, technically.
Okay.
Because that just happened.
That's right. Okay, and then shifting over to the women's side, we got to talk about our guy, Simon Harris.
I love
got the job at East Tennessee State University. We love Dr. Gazelle. Brittany did a great job there over her years.
Terrific.
And just a great person. But couldn't be happier for Simon Harris. And what a big time hire. Simon's coming from Ohio State. But really the most positive and just charismatic people that I've ever met in my life. Can connect with anybody. Another younger assistant coach, just kind of following these trends here. But what a great person and great personality. Excited to see him do big things there with the Buccaneers.
Yeah, you've done a good job kind of always acknowledging the people that were there before. Coach Gazelle was terrific as a leader. She'll land on her feet and do great things wherever she is, and somebody will get a star of a coach in her wherever she lands. But definitely got to give much props to Coach Harris. He's climbed his way through the high major ranks too, and had a ton of success. And I think he's going to do a great job there.
Absolutely. All right, moving along to the new jobs. We got new jobs that have opened up, and that's all the hires we've got.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. This is what everybody wants to talk about. Again, in about 10 minutes, Adam Nelson from Hoop Dirt will be joining us. But let's start with some of the bigger jobs that are open right now. Let's go straight to Marquette. Obviously, that one just popped, I think, in the last 3 days. They decided to change directions. Brian, what are you hearing here with Marquette?
Yes, it's still a little bit early on Marquette. It sounds like, as crazy as it may sound, that Porter Moser has a little bit of an intrigue for this job, and they have obviously probably a big desire to land somebody like him. I think Porter Moser, as they keep playing, is going to have his name and his pick for some of these jobs, I would think. But you've heard him. I have heard Dennis Gates again for this job. His name has been mentioned a ton as a guy who's in the region, in the area. They could do a great job there.
That's right, Lucas.
Yeah,
that's
Lucas,
why we're hosting the show.
Let's go. Yeah, so heard those two. A name that may be a little bit outside the box that I've heard multiple times is that Shaka Smart could be a person that just wants to go get this job and leave where he is at Texas. Obviously, Texas, a 3 seed in the tournament, won the Big 12 championship tournament. The loss to Abilene Christian probably doesn't make you feel great about everything, and you got a lot of guys leaving. So, just a fresh start, maybe a great thing for. No doubt he can coach, and no doubt he'll do a good job wherever he is. But those are kind of the 3 that I've heard more than any. But it's kind of early on this one still.
Yeah, I'll tell you one that you won't hear on any of these rumor mills or anything. But I guarantee he will be contacted. Is Conzo Martin at Missouri? Nice. I don't know if he entertains these or not, but he's a guy. I mean, you talk about a proven coach, along with the trend of minority hires. But and people are on his ass all the time, just like they are Shaka's. These guys can coach. They can run programs. They've proven it. And they've taken multiple teams to the tournament. What else do you need? Of course, you want them to go to the Final Four and the Sweet 16, but come on, let's just get Marquette to the dance on a consistent basis.
Right.
Same with like DePaul, all these programs. Get someone that's proven to have a track record to get there. Okay, so that's Marquette. And I'm getting texts here too, and I've read this one on Twitter. Tom Crean back to Marquette.
I was actually see that one. I didn't know if I wanted to throw that out there, but I have heard of Tom Crean trying to run it back, like our guy Coach Fernandez with rising coaches. He's trying to run it back with Marquette. I don't know if Marquette does that one. I don't know. I don't know the whole history there, but I don't know if I feel like they go with something new and something fresh, something younger.
I don't know. He had a lot of success there. He won a lot of games.
Yeah, he did.
Some really good players.
He had a guy named Wade that was pretty good.
Pretty good. I think he went on to have a decent career. Okay, let's get to one more before we bring in our guest. Texas A&M Corpus Christi just opened up. Willis Wilson, a legend, one of the great ambassadors for our game, retired. Was that yesterday? Maybe the day before?
I think it was the day before. Yeah.
Yeah. Texas A&M Corpus Christi, obviously a great location. Who wouldn't want to live in right on the water? But what have you heard about this one, Brian? Any names?
Yeah, so fresh and new. Not a lot of true names of like who is supposed to get it or who's involved in it, but just more so names of people that could do a good job. A lot of high major assistants, I think, similar to what we've heard, Big 12 assistants, but I've also kind of heard similar to the D2 route that Indiana State took to take their head coach in the region. I've heard Johnny Estelle's name, longtime head coach at Navarro Junior College, and now he's at Texas A&M Kingsville. He's taking them to the tournament. He's probably 30 minutes away down the street and has won everywhere he's been. He's kind of like you said about Coach Wilson, an ambassador. He's been that for the junior college game for a long time. He's a name that I've heard kind of right away, which I was a little surprised at, but I can see it definitely because he's been so successful and he's local and he's tied to Texas. And then you just hear the myriad of all the high major assistants that are in the Big 12, which we'll talk about more. So that's really the only real name specific that I've heard for that job yet.
Okay, great. Well, let's bring in the slugger for the day, Adam Nelson from Hoop Dirt. Always great to have him on the show. Adam, what's up, man? How are you?
What's happening, fellas? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks. Good
to have you, man. You got a new hairdo a little bit. I like it. A little.
I'm trying, Brian. I got to keep up with you young guys a little bit. I don't know.
Looking good, man. Looking good.
All right, Adam. Obviously, a busy week, busy time of year. Let's jump right into it. Let's start in Chicago. What's going on at DePaul?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Adam, like really busy time. And it's crazy. Like this stuff it's I'd like to say changing day by day, but it's changing like hour by hour, minute by minute.
Yeah.
Like even before I jumped on here, my phone was going nuts with a couple new things. DePaul is an interesting one, I think. Dwayne Peeves, new AD's got a lot to clean up there. I really believe that Kenny Payne's the leader here. I mean, they have such a tight bond from their time at Kentucky, where Peavy was in charge of basketball administration, and he was there with Kenny Payne. So I think, from what I hear, I believe he's the leader. But I also think, with Dennis Gates not getting some stuff early, I think Dennis Gates is in play there as well. From what I hear, I believe that's the top two. But whoever gets it has a lot of work. And I think Dwayne Peeves is going to do some really good things there, and he's going to get that place going. But again, from what I hear and the people I talk to, and to be honest, from my opinion, I think Kenny Payne is and should be the guy there. But we'll see how this plays out over the next 48 hours, and I don't think this thing will drag on too much longer.
Brian, you have any different names that you've heard? That
I actually have heard those two names, Kenny Payne, front runner, Gates, because he has not maybe gotten some of the jobs people thought he would, is heavily in play as another option. And, the Porter Moser conversation is always thrown out there, I think, because he's right there in Chicago, but I don't see that one happening, me personally. So, yeah, those are the names I've heard.
Okay, let's keep it moving. Going down south, College of Charleston, obviously a great job with Earl Grant leaving to go to Boston College. You start hearing Ryan Odom a lot. Is that the leader?
Yeah, so this one's moving and grooving pretty quickly, actually. So, the chatter over the last 24, 48 hours really is Ryan Odom kind of being the leader there. And a lot of people draw conclusions, obviously, because, CSA has the surge and his dad, Dave Odom, is a consultant at CSA, and that's fine. But Ryan is definitely involved and like I said, the chatter's really picked up. But, as of 20 minutes ago, it does sound like Pat Kelsey is really involved too, and either has or is interviewing down there like today. So that's an interesting one. It sounds like those would be the two. I've also heard at some point, whether it's the end of this week or early next week, there is a board meeting scheduled to kind of vote on the new contract for a men's basketball coach, which sounds like it'll be in the range of like $800,000, which that money down in Charleston, that's great. What a life. Why would anybody ever leave that job once they get it?
What a place to be.
Oh, unbelievable. But like I said, I really think, Odom is in there solid and I believe is the leader, but Pat Kelsey could be making a charge here. So those are the two names that are really kind of, it seems like narrowed down to. Who knows? Who knows with the CSA search if we're getting it all, but I do know those two have interviewed and, really are at the top of the list right now.
Yeah, and I think the only one that I'd add, I think they were trying to get Wes Miller early on, but don't know that Greensboro to Charleston is enough of a jump for him. I think he's holding pocket and waiting for a high major job, but I do think that they went after him early and tried to get that one done. Okay, we'll stay in that region of the country, but go to the Division II level. Talk to us about Clayton State. This one about to pop here, Adam?
Yeah, I think so. And you know what? So this is it's a funny year, because everything right now is like focused on the Division I's. But at hoopdirt.com, we really work with the 2s, the 3s, the NAIA, and JUCOs, and a lot of those haven't opened this year. It's been a really, really quiet year. But now they're starting to get there. They're starting to get there. So Clayton State, from what I've heard, it sounds like Vince Alexander from Rice. This will be his job. From what I've heard, the final two were Vince Alexander and Chad Dollar from Georgia. But it sounds like Chad Dollar has been told that he's out from what I've heard. So from the guys that I've been talking to and from what I hear, it does sound like Vince Alexander from Rice would get this job. He's been a Division II head coach before and has had some success at that level. But again, these small college jobs, Division IIs, 3s, this is what I think maybe a lot of the people listening to this broadcast, should be kind of like focused in on too, because these are really good assistant jobs and GA jobs to jump onto, so if you listen to this and you may have a connection like Vince Alexander, you might want to reach out because these are the gigs that'll get you in. So I think that's where we're headed with Clayton State. And I don't know how much more small college stuff will open. There's not a lot open right now. But hopefully some other stuff will open so some guys can move. Yeah,
for sure. And Clayton State, great job. Very, very tough league. Very good region, but you can certainly win there. Okay, one that's kind of been lingering for a long time now, Adam. What the heck is going on at Fordham?
Great question. What the heck is going on at Fordham? This is nuts. It's funny. So really last week, Thursday and Friday, all the buzz was like Friday's decision day. It's going to be done. And we started kind of, I started getting all these texts and calls, and I've got some really good boots on the ground there. And, kind of had it to this final group where, who knows what's going on? I thought, the final group was Tony Barbie from Kentucky, Carm from Siena, Kyle Neptune from Villanova, right? Really good final group. Well, now sounds like Carm's going to sign an extension at Siena. So
I think he just signed it yesterday. I think.
So well, there you go. So he's going to be out, right? Kyle Neptune, whether this is dragging along where it says or not, but now that Hofstra's open, he's really in play there, and especially with the Jay Wright connection to Hofstra. So I don't know how this is going to play out for Fordham. I mean, Tony Barbie, obviously a good choice. From, I think others will disagree with me, but from what I hear, Jared Grasso from Bryant is out of the Fordham sweepstakes. But as this drags on, I don't know. Maybe he's back in. I don't know what happens. But I will tell you, the one name that I heard that snuck in there late, which I haven't talked about yet, but from what I hear from a bunch of people down there, Tim O'Toole, the associate head coach at Pitt, who's a New York native, actually may have had the very last interview late last week there, and from all accounts did a really good job. But who knows, but I'm surprised that, what's, I don't even know what today is. Today's Thursday. So we're talking last Friday was supposed to be decision day. So I guess I just don't know what the holdup is down there. So we'll see. I mean, I don't think there's going to be a surprise. I think it's all the guys that we've mentioned. It does sound like they took a run at James Jones, but with some big money from Yale, but I don't think he's going. Like I said, maybe Tim O'Toole, Matt Langle from Colgate got some play a little bit late. But, I don't know. To be honest, if it's not Tony Barbie or Kyle Neptune, I'd be surprised.
Yeah, the Kyle Neptune thing would explain why it's dragged on so long. They're waiting, Villanova playing in the tournament. They're waiting for him to finish up. Not that everybody does that. Not every school waits. And this could bite them. If that is their strategy to wait, this could bite them with Hofstra coming open and maybe Kyle's no longer interested. I do think James Jones maybe still in the mix here from Yale. It doesn't seem like a logical, he's been at Yale for 23 years. Why make that jump? But hey, money's money, and maybe he's ready for a change.
You know what? So, and I agree. And that's the one thing I think that I think there's a lot of people at Fordham that really like James Jones, and I think he was the one guy that they were going to throw a little bit different money at. So there might have been 1.2 million reasons for James Jones to leave Yale. But, again, like you said, he's been at Yale a long time. He's 57 years old. Why ruin a good thing to chase it? But who knows? But yeah, I think, this one dragging out is interesting. And like you said, with Villanova still playing, it could very well be just holding on that announcement. But, look at Indiana State's Schertz is still playing, right, in the Division II tournament, and they announced him a while ago. Micah Shrewsbury was announced as Purdue was still playing. So, obviously different schools do it different ways, but very curious to see how this is going to play out.
Yeah, honestly, no disrespect to the guys that are involved with this job, but James Jones is in a completely different level. I mean, you talk about a proven track record. The guy's won over a 20-year span, and goes in line with the trend of minority hires, which schools are rightfully so being more cognizant of. So, some of these assistants that we mentioned that are at big time programs and up and comers. That's great, but you got a guy here that's proven. Surprised I haven't heard his name for more high major jobs, honestly.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Especially, he's a great guy. He can coach, and he recruits at one of the best academic schools in the world. Right. So he's really, really marketable. But again, like the flip side of it is, and you guys know this business as well as anybody. To hang on at a place for so long is so rare. So why not stay in it as long as you can at a really good place? And I know a lot of guys struggle with that. They're always chasing the next, and you chase the next, and you could be out in 3 years selling insurance somewhere, So there's definitely, if you have the opportunity to stay somewhere, not the worst thing in the world by any means.
No doubt.
Yeah, it sounds like Fordham is considering going a little more academic route too. So that may be why he was in play, to kind of make themselves kind of that academic profile school within the league instead of kind of just not really having an identity yet.
Yeah, no, and that makes sense. And a lot, it's funny. I talk to a lot of ADs, and every AD I talk to, they all tell me that they're at an academic school. They all tell me the same thing.
Right.
We gotta have guys gotta have grades. I gotta everyone I talk to is an AD at an academic school. So yeah, who knows?
All right. Can we talk hofstra? I know that wasn't the ones we prepped about, but let's stay in that region. You mentioned Cal Neptune there too. What else are you hearing?
Like I said, I think the Jay Wright connection is obviously strong there with Jay being a hofstra guy. And I think one of the most interesting things with hofstra, from what I heard, is Mike Farrell did a really good job as the acting head coach last year, and I think should be considered for the job. But you've also got Speedy Claxton on staff there. Speedy's one of the all-time greats at hofstra. Played in the NBA, has a really good rep down there, big rep. So that's an interesting one where I've talked to a lot of people who say, Farrelly, but Speedy, and I said, well, that's great, but why was Farrelly elevated to the acting head coach and Speedy wasn't? Who knows? And that could have been a decision, who knows? But I just think, that group right there is really strong. I mean, Hofstra's a good job too. And not to beat Kyle Neptune to death here, but you look at the difference between Fordham and Hofstra. Like Fordham, if Neptune gets Fordham, he's going to get his head kicked in for a few years, in that league. But you go to Hofstra, you got a chance to be pretty good pretty quickly. You got a chance to be in the top half of that league probably right away with a chance to, win that thing. Where I don't know if Fordham's ever going to win it. So, I think those are some things to consider too. But, good job. Again, and I think Fordham probably, when Fordham plays out, we'll get a little bit more clarity at Hofstra.
Yeah, a sneaky name I got for you on the Hofstra job, Jay Hernandez, with the Charlotte G League team. Jay's a New York guy, I believe, and has ties to that area.
Jay's a Hofstra guy, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he is.
I believe Jay's a Hofstra guy. It's a good name. He's gotten that rep as being like a skills guy, a trainer. Hopped into the league. Really, really good name there. Yeah, I haven't heard that one. I like that.
Yeah, and what about Grasso? Is he involved in this one? I mean, obviously his name keeps coming up with all these Northeast jobs.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where like you kind of hear it, but then like do you hear it from the right people? Like, yep, right. Say Grasso because of his connections to New York and this and that, but
right.
Like I to be honest, I have not heard it from the right people. But if you're Jared Grasso, like what yeah, it's a better league than Bryant for sure. But he's really done a good job at Bryant, and they're getting better and they're going to be competitive. Do you leave that for I don't know. I don't know.
Heck yeah. Yes. You got to, don't you? It's such a better job.
I would say it's definitely a better job, but it seems like the same kind of names have been mentioned for both, and his name's definitely been in the mix for both jobs, it seems like.
Yeah. It's an interesting name. I don't know. I mean, we'll see how that one plays out. Like I said, though, I really like this Farrelly, Speedy Claxton, and Kyle Neptune thing. That's been the biggest three so far that I've heard. But we'll see what else pops up.
It always plays out eventually.
Crazy.
Okay, let's go Texas Rio Grande Valley. Obviously, unbelievably difficult situation there with Lou Hill passing. Yeah. Jay Stedman, the interim head coach, has been at it longer than anybody. As good of a person, works as hard as anybody in the business. Would love to see him get this shot, but it doesn't sound like it's trending that way. What are you hearing there, Adam?
Yeah, and Jay's great. Jay's the best, and I just don't think from what I hear, he's not going to get this job. The names, Urek Malagi, obviously from Texas Tech, KT Turner from Texas, Pooh Williamson from Oklahoma, seem to be the big three right now. I can tell you right now that I do know an SEC assistant did interview there earlier this week. I'm not allowed to say his name, but I can confirm that there was an SEC assistant that did interview on campus this week. But there's some interesting ones, and I think that some people have said like Pooh Williamson because of the Oklahoma connection, and that's where Lou Hill came from. But you know what? It's a different AD at Rio Grande right now, where the AD at UTRGV right now was the AD at Little Rock when Chris Beard was hired there. So let's look at that Texas Tech connection a little bit. So that's where Urek Malagi maybe comes into play a little bit. So I think with those names, I think some were involved early and may not be involved yet. But like I said, there was definitely an SEC assistant that interviewed there this week.
Yeah, I've heard actually the same. I've heard not the SEC assistant. I didn't hear that part, but I've heard KT is not in the running anymore. Just wasn't quite the fit, and some reasons why maybe he wasn't as interested. I've heard Uric Malaghy, Pooh Williamson. I actually heard Carlin Hartman as well has interviewed, and because Alon Krueger was the head coach there, he has so many ties, maybe not to the AD, but to the people that are down there. That sounds like the Lon Krueger search firm or the Chris Beard search firm is going to win this one.
You could be right, but shifting gears a little bit, like you just mentioned KT Turner. Now if you look at Lamar, a lot of these names are now servicing a Lamar too, where it's a little bit of a different kind of search where Bob Bodine from Eastman Bodine is running this Lamar search. He just finished up the BC search and grabbed a guy out of left field and Earl Grant. So it's kind of hard. Like you hear these names, at Lamar, and you don't really, can you trust him or not? But same thing with Uric Malaghy, KT Turner, heard those names. But then some interesting ones have come through really over the last 12 to 24 hours. Jerome Tang and Alvin Brooks at Baylor, either one or both of those guys being involved. And then the most interesting one I heard was Terry Johnson from Ohio State, possibly involved in Lamar. And to be honest, that one's kind of sounds like not a Texas guy, right? I don't know. It's not all these connections, but again, it's a Bob Bodine search who just took Earl Grant from College of Charleston and put him at BC. So someone like Terry Johnson from Ohio State, doesn't surprise me. So this is an interesting one to see how this is going to play out. And I think. Between this one and UTRGV, a lot of the same names. Curious to see how they both finish up here.
Yeah, and just to kind of piggyback that, Corpus Christi. So KT Turner used to work for Willis Wilson at Corpus Christi. So you'll hear a lot of the same names for these three jobs. For Lamar, I've heard some of the same names. I've heard that because of the head coach pay, that it would be impossible for Lamar to get Jerome Tang. But I have heard Alvin Brooks is heavy on the list, if not the favorite to get this job. His dad played there as well, from Houston, obviously one of the most beloved guys in the business, will do a tremendous job if he was given the opportunity. So Terry Johnson comes in because he played at Lamar. So he actually played basketball and baseball at Lamar, if I'm not mistaken. So Terry Johnson in Ohio State's been terrific in how they've played, and he's been such a big part of not only Ohio State but also Brad Stevens' guy. So I definitely could see that one makes sense. Gotta
love a dual sport guy.
Yeah, he's a talented one. There's so I think Ross Hodge is actually going to be in play too, from North Texas. Bob Bodine and kind of that North Texas having so much success and being an associate head coach. I've heard Mike Peck's name also interviewed from UTSA, former G League head coach, and was also at what's the school at Vegas. Anyway, it'll come back to me. But I also heard, no, not Impact.
Was it Impact?
No, the good one, the really good one. No offense to Impact. We'll circle back to that.
Okay. All right.
Al Pinkin's name is also mentioned, who's at Florida, who's tied to the AD. They were both at Middle Tennessee together. So there's some ties there. I don't know if there's a La Tech assistant that would be in the mix as well, but the AD came from La Tech last. So I don't know if one of those guys or several of those guys will also get an interview, but I have heard that AB3 is kind of the biggest target here to get this opportunity.
Well, and big shoes to fill here. Tick Price, although they didn't, get it done on the court the last couple of years, again, just like Coach Wilson at Corpus Christi, one of the great ambassadors that we had in the game, had been in it for decades, and just a great person, mentored so many people and touched so many lives. So including myself. I worked for Coach for 3 years, so definitely huge shout out. And how many teams has he taken to the tournament? New Orleans, McNeese State, who I don't know if they'll ever go. No offense to McNeese State. They haven't been in the conversation to go to the tournament since he left. And Coach Price is just what a great person, and definitely has mentored so many and had a run there. I mean, he had a run where he was winning 20 games a year and just not able to quite
when you get a new AD, it always changes. So shout out to Coach Price and his career and all he's done.
Matt Barnhouse on our comments there on social media was excited about the Al Pinkins name, former Ole Miss guy. Shout out to Matt Barnhouse. Adam, before we let you go, anything else you want to touch in on? You want to dip your toes in the Indiana water?
No. Man,
you're not the only one.
First of all, Brian, I forgot you're a Texas guy, man. There's some good jobs open in Texas. We got to talk after this show.
Yeah, let's do it.
Some good stuff. So I'm gonna hit you after the show.
Let's do it.
But talk to me about Indiana. Like, you find some guys to raise $10 million to get rid of Archie Miller, and then you don't have someone lined up. Like, I don't know, man. Like the whole, Richard Pitino to New Mexico and Minnesota opening, like, that stuff was planned out for a while. And they made a great hire at Minnesota. It's a splash, bang, bang, bang. What's going on in Indiana? I mean, the longer this thing drags out, the longer the worse it looks. So where are you going to go? You're going to bring in Mike Woodson? I mean, is that a splash? I guess. I don't know. I mean, some of the names flying around there, you're not going to get Eric Musselman. The Brad Stevens stuff early on is ludicrous, because when did the Indiana Hoosiers job become better than the Boston Celtics job in the NBA? And I don't care how bad the Celtics
right.
The Indiana job is not better than the Boston Celtics job. And
the Celtics aren't bad.
well, you know what, Brian? You don't live in Boston. If you lived in Boston, the Celtics are terrible right now. Good point. But if you're Brad Stevens, though, you've been in the NBA long enough. If something goes south here and you do lose your job at the end of the season, you're going to get another NBA job. So he's not going to Indiana. So I guess, does Chris Beard go to Indiana? Why would you? I mean, he's a Texas guy. Some of the other names. So you're going to get rid of Archie Miller to bring in, Mike Woodson, Calbert Chaney, Keith Smart. Man, I don't know. Maybe is Indiana as an attractive job as it used to be, as people think? I don't know. What do they have? They've got 3 starters now in the transfer portal, Indiana. So great. Chris Beard. People want to talk about Chris Beard. Look what he's done at Texas Tech. Now you're going to leave that where you have a chance to win a national championship at Texas Tech. How long is it going to take you to get it going to Indiana? And, I don't know. I mean, I'm still to pony up all that money and to not have your little group ready to go. Again, look at what Minnesota did. Richard Pitino went to New Mexico. Everybody knew that. Bang, you bring in Ben Johnson, made a splash. Great hire. He's a Minnesota guy. He's going to get it done there. I think, you bring a lot of positive energy. So, but if you're Indiana, why wasn't this done in the past? I mean, those alums, you just did not like Archie Miller that much. The $10 million, no big deal to get him out to what? What are you going to get that's better? So hey, Adam, what was the job last year that dragged on forever? The high major job that I know Goodman was on their ass all the time about it, and they just dragged and dragged and dragged. I'm trying to remember what it was. Adam, I can't remember what happened to me yesterday. I don't remember that.
Especially last year. That was it's still a blur for all of us.
Well, I mean, I guess my point is I totally agree with you, and you should have a plan, and you shouldn't waste time with a Brad Stevens. I heard some of the numbers that they threw out at him.
Oh, they really tried to throw the money at him.
They're $70 million, over a course of 10 years or 7 years or something. But come on, you got to know, like you said, Adam, no one's leaving an NBA head coaching job for Indiana. But, I know we get impatient. We want to hear about it. As long as they get it right at the end of the day, isn't that what matters? Yes, you want to get something done. And yes, there's people in the transfer portal that are getting added in left and right. But, if they end up with a solid hire, that's what matters, right?
Yeah, no, and you do make a good point, right? But this is kind of been the shift in college basketball coaching searches over maybe the last 10 or 15 years, right? Before social media and the instant gratification we all get. 15 years ago, a job opened, it was this process, it was the search process, and it would take a while, right? But now everybody expects someone gets fired or moves on, bang, 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 it's going to happen quick, right? So you're right. I mean, there's definitely, and I think search firms play a role in this, and the access to information where you can get stuff on guys definitely makes it quicker. But yeah, there definitely is nothing wrong with taking your time to get it right. it just seems like, from the outside at least, that they really don't have a great handle on this thing right now. And I'll tell you, like with what I do now, I do talk to a lot of ADs, and I talk to a lot of mid-major. I hate saying low major, mid-major, low major ADs, and guys are always asking me for names. And I've got a lot of guys a lot of ADs that I talk to that their coaches aren't even gone yet, but they keep that list in their top desk drawer just in case, So like, did Indiana already have this list of guys? And I don't know. So I don't know. To me, again, like you said, taking time is fine. I'm sure it's going to work out fine for them. But like you said, you watched, a school in the league like Minnesota move so quickly to get it done. Just looking from the outside, it just, it's not a great look. But we'll see. I'm very curious to see how this works.
I'm curious. Two parts on Indiana. Are they being smart because they're going to take the Cinderella story from the tournament and somebody who makes a run, whether it's Porter Moser or somebody else, and then secondly, does Indiana think that they're a bigger job than what they are now? It seems like a little bit, from even working in the state, a little bit like Indiana thinks that they're still on the level like, that they used to be on. I don't know that they're quite the same anymore.
Well,
although they do have the money and the fan base.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think kids care at all about tradition.
I don't think they do either.
But they care about fan base, and Indiana does have like the best, top 3 fan bases in college basketball. So when you go into Assembly Hall, which is an unbelievable building, and it's packed out to go play, freaking SEMO, that's impressive. You know what I mean? But yeah, I get your point. Like, kids, I don't think really care that you won a championship in the 80s. Like,
right.
That this is not doing anything for them, especially like, oh, I can go even whatever bad high major program, name anyone. Oh, they got a great building too. They got a great weight room too. Like,
right. They got great facilities. They have great practice facilities.
Right. No, you're right. But and I keep, I hate to keep beating Minnesota to death, right? But look at the job, Big Ten job, young, energetic head coach who's been an alum there, good facilities. You got a pretty good fan base. Like, what's the difference now between, Indiana and Minnesota? Now that Minnesota's got, a head coach who's I think going to attract some pretty good talent, and guys are going to want to play for him,
Right.
So it's like you said, it's an interesting job. It's not like this, mecca of college basketball, like the best job in the country. They're going to have to grind it out, but they're going to need to get somebody in there with a little bit of a personality who's going to have to win this fan base over. So it's going to be interesting.
I'm curious if they even go down. I mean, Dennis Gates' name has been mentioned for a lot of other high-level jobs. I'm curious if he's one of the names that ends up being a guy here too. Anyway, just kind of throwing that one out there. I haven't heard that, but his name's kind of been in the conversation for a lot of these. But it may play out well for him when the tournament goes on and they can hide behind some of the Cinderella stories, start interviewing some guys. Who knows?
Who is anyone doing this search, Adam, or are they doing it in-house?
I believe they're doing it in-house. I actually believe the AD said I don't even know if he has a campus committee. I believe he said, I've got it.
I got it, guys. I got it.
So,
all right.
I clear out.
Yeah, exactly. So, listen, hey, that's how they used to do in the old days. So go for it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. What about Beilein? I know, like, we've joked about that his name's going to come up, but like, for real, like, why? To me, that makes perfect sense here.
I agree. I mean, I think his name's come up with every high major job that's open. And, to be honest, like, it doesn't seem like he's, gotten that far in the process with anything here.
Do you think he doesn't want to coach, or is it?
I think he does want to coach. Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think he wants to be back in coaching. I think if he didn't, he would have said, like, I'm happy, working for the Big Ten Network or doing whatever he's doing now and hanging out. But he wants to coach, man. So it's curious, like, if he's not going to get one of these high major jobs, would he take? So, something else is going to open. 2 or 3 more mid majors are going to open here. Whether it's due to retirement or mid-major guys getting a high major job, because there's still some stuff out there in play. So, does John Beilein, who has coached at every level of college basketball, does he take a job in the America East if an America East job opens? That's going to be curious.
Do you think John Beilein, like his shirt sleeves, like, do they go down further than like Porter, or do they just permanently stay there?
He's got his sleeves rolled. He's a grinder, man, right? He roll their sleeves up and they go to work.
Like, I got to imagine his closet is just like they're already pre rolled up.
Especially tailored. They just roll up to there. Yeah, I hear you. But it's interesting with a guy like that he hasn't gotten anything yet. But again, according to all reports, he hasn't even gotten that far in the process with some of these. So who knows? But maybe he winds up in Indiana at the end. But again, you hire a guy like John Beilein. That's a great thing. He's a proven winner. He knows how to coach. He's got a great name. I just I think obviously he not the greatest decision maybe to go to Cleveland. But if he can get back in, I don't think it's a bad hire for anybody that would hire John Beilein.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, hey, Adam, I'm sure you've gotten 2,000 text messages just in the time that you've been on our show. So we'll let you run, but we really appreciate you jumping on again with us, and we'd love to have you back on again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys. Be good. Brian, I'm texting you in like 10 minutes.
I look forward to it.
All right, fellas. Be good.
All right, later.
Thanks, Adam. All right. The legend, Adam Nelson from Hoop Dirt. We appreciate him coming on. Brian, we got a few more jobs to get to and not a ton of time to do it. So let's roll. Let's go Eastern Illinois. They are down to 4 here. We got on-campus interviews starting next week. And I know some of the names that have been reported are, in fact, in the mix. Marty Simmons, former head coach at Evansville, who's currently on staff at Clemson, and Link Darner, former head coach at Green Bay, former head coach at Florida Southern. He is involved as well. So those on-campus interviews start next week. Again, super challenging job. Both of those make sense. Those are guys that had success as a head coach, got let go, and now are looking for another opportunity. So given what they can spend, sorry, I just got a hilarious text messages from Menelik, but I'll save it. I'll save it for after the show. Given what EIU can spend on this hire, those two guys make perfect sense. And honestly, those two guys are great coaches and would be really good there.
Yeah, did a good job both places that they were, and was really surprised that Link Darner last year was just such a weird thing that happened out of kind of the blue. They had a good season and had success there. And so, you definitely like to see guys get another shot as a head coach. And they probably need to hire a proven guy who's already knows what they're doing and a winner because they do have some limitations there. So those two names would be good.
For sure. Okay, staying in the OVC, UT Martin. By the way, we had Montez Robinson, the former interim head coach at UT Martin on the podcast yesterday. Wow, what a powerful episode that was. He is, first of all, great person, impressive dude. But holy cow, what he's dealt with, going back to just getting the rug pulled out from under him at Alcorn State with no explanation, and the success that he had there. Joined the staff at UT Martin as the associate head coach at the last minute, late in August. And then, months later, one of his best friends, Anthony Stewart, passed away unexpectedly. Tragic situation. He really did a good job there this year, given the circumstances. Would have loved to have seen him get the opportunity, but they came out with a statement that he is no longer being considered. You had some names for some people that interviewed. I know Luke Gore was one.
Link Darner was one of them, actually.
Okay.
That you just mentioned. I think he's interviewed here as well. I've heard Stephen Gentry from Illinois. Really, really good basketball mind. Is also in the mix there. Luke Gore from Valpo as well. Sundance Wicks from Wyoming. Jermaine Kimbrough from Chicago Loyola are names I heard that have actually been involved or have actually interviewed. So it sounded like the last I heard on this one, they were down to about 6 to 10, which I don't know if that's actually down to, but that's the last I've kind of heard on this one.
That's a lot of people. Okay. Let's go Utah. Let's go Utah. Again, we talked about this one. This was another head scratcher. I thought Kristoviak did a great job at Utah, but what are you hearing here, Brian?
Yeah, I think the front running name is similar to DePaul, how Kenny Payne's the main name. It sounds like Alex Jensen, former player there on the staff with Utah Jazz. It sounds like it's all but done, that's the guy if he wants it. And then I've also heard, of course, the guys from Utah State, Craig Smith's name's been mentioned as well, just as a guy who's done such a tremendous job at Utah State in such a short amount of time. If I'm not mistaken, three tournament bids essentially in 3 years he's been there at Utah State. So incredible job. Those are the main two names that I've heard, but it sounds like Alex Jensen is kind of the front runner for this. And the Krzyzewski thing, I mean, he, again, another coach that's done a good job, had been there for a while, and it's just hard when you're at some of these jobs for so long. They just don't quite appreciate you the same way. Did have a lot of guys that kind of were hopping in the transfer portal, but still found a way to win enough every year, but maybe not enough for them, unfortunately. So not exactly sure what always happens behind the scenes, but Krzyzewski did do a good job and did a lot of good things. So, but Alex Jensen sounds like he's the biggest name here.
Okay. Let's stay out west. San Jose State. I'm hearing Marvin Menzies. We've also heard Scott Garson from Santa Clara. Dave Rice, heard his name for this one. This is a challenging job. I think some people have turned it down already. But any other names? Am I missing anybody?
I have not heard many other names for San Jose State. Definitely is a tricky job, kind of a niche job to figure out how to get yourself to be competitive in a high level two-bid league the last 3 or 4 years in the Mountain West. So, but Marvin Menzies is the biggest name that I've heard, and it sounds like they're actually moving along with that name. I don't know that he's going to get hired, but that's a name that it sounds like they're having some deep conversations. And he's had a lot of success. He's a West Coast guy. A couple other names that I just recently got a text on. David Patrick, who was at Riverside, did a great job. I don't know the DP would take this one, me personally.
No, he wouldn't take this one.
I don't see why you would. It's a harder job than UC Riverside was, where he just left.
Well, and the pay cut, I don't think San Jose State's paying much, and that's one of the most expensive places to live in the freaking world.
Right.
He's getting paid at Arkansas. So
and then Mike Vicario, name he did interview for Portland as well. So I don't know that he would do it, but UC Riverside had a tough go just trying to figure out they're going to keep their athletic department earlier the year. So I could see why he would definitely be looking for an opportunity.
Mike McPio speaking at our Final Four speaker series next week. If you're a Rising Coaches member, you'll get to go for free. If not, you can go to risingcoaches.coachesclinic.com to sign up now for $15. Mike is one of the many coaches that are speaking. We got an anonymous text here, Brian, about San Jose State.
I like it. Boom.
Justin, I hope I say this right. Justin LeBeau. It looks like he's the head coach at CCSF. Is that City College of San Francisco? One of the great California JUCO programs historically.
Yes, so.
I don't know Justin at all, but I'm assuming he's done a great job there, and that would be an interesting one, a local guy for sure. So we'll see how that one plays out. We only got a couple more, and we only got a couple minutes here, Ryan. So let's race through them. Doesn't sound like anything new at Central Connecticut State. I'm hearing the same names. I think Hoop Dirt had some stuff on this last week. Jim Ferry. What are some names you've heard here?
Yeah, I've really only heard two. The assistant Stephen current coach Curran at St. Bonaventure, associate coach. Sounds like he is involved in this pretty heavily. And then former player that played at UConn that is now at Fairfield, Pat Sellers, is another name. Those are the main two names I've heard for this one as far as really being involved. So there always can be more, but those are the main two names I consistently hear around Central Connecticut State.
Okay, last but not least, at least for Division I, is Eastern Washington. Tough job, but they
moved up their associate coach. I think this one's done, all but done.
It's done?
It's supposed to be.
All right, it's done. Never mind. See you later, EWU.
Getting moved up.
No, that's great. You know what? They've let me put them back on. That was messed up. I was just joking. They like we mentioned before with Shante, like Jim Hafer did a great job establishing this program. They did the right thing and did a great job with getting continuity and moving Shante Legans up. He took them to another level. You know, when you have a challenging job, right? So what are you gonna do? You're gonna make a splash hire at Eastern Washington? Just move the guy up. Just do it. It sounds like
especially when you've had success, that he knows how to do it there. He knows the blueprint. He knows the formula. I think that there's so much that goes into that instead of trying to hire somebody who's got to figure that out. You got to have some trial and error just to figure it out. One that we didn't mention, I don't think we mentioned it, was Denver.
Oh, we forgot. How can we forget Denver? Okay, hold on. I got to make the banner here. Hold on here. Denver had banner. Boom. Denver. What do you got, Brian?
And I think some of the same names that we mentioned before. I know we mentioned Adam Cohen. I believe the other assistant at Stanford, not Jesse Pruitt. I'm not sure. I'm trying to blank on his name, but I think he's actually interviewed here.
Man, what is his name? The nicest guy. First of all, let's just take a second to talk about Stanford men's basketball. The nicest staff of all time, top to bottom. Like everybody on that staff, like you would want your daughter to marry. I'm looking at Jeff Wilburn. Jeff Wilburn is the associate coach there. So you've heard him for Denver as well?
Yeah, he's interviewed. I've gotten a lot of again, I don't know this to be who's going to get hired, but it sounds like there's a lot of energy around. Is it Ficky? Is that how you say his name?
Yes.
Just at Belmont Abbey. And was just recognized as being one of, I think they won another championship and he won some awards, but it sounds like they want somebody who knows Denver, understands that place, and has already had some success. And I think similar to what you've seen at other places, I'm not saying this is a budget cut per se, but they just want to go with somebody who they know knows the place and knows how to win. So it sounds like, yep, see, there you go.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Creative Coaching. They do a great job, by the way, with their podcast, confirming Eastern Washington has moved up David Riley.
Yeah, I thought the associate coach had gotten the job. So thank you, Elevated. That was good work. But yeah, Ficky sounds like he might be the guy to get the job here at Denver. That's kind of what I've heard, and is kind of the favorite.
All right. We wanted to talk women's hoops. We wanted to talk some more small college stuff, but we are out of time. We've been on for an hour now. If you've missed any of the show, if you want to go back, please check us out on the podcast, which will be released this afternoon via iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen to it. Make sure you leave us a review, 5 stars only. And we'll be back next week, same time, same place, Thursdays at noon, for more of the Carousel. Thanks, Brian.
Yep. Thank you, Adam. We did have good news on OKC. They did make a hire with Mark Barikoff too. Oklahoma City. Shout out to NAI, Oklahoma City.
There you go. Snuck it in.